Hi everybody, it's Valerie from Lexis. Today I'm going to give you a short video on how to write a note that is where you take a case as the jumping off point to write that note. If you look in the email that I sent you, there is also an outline about how to write a note. And I'm just going to give it to you quickly here so we can sort of understand how the pieces fit together. Part one is the intro. And in that intro, you have sort of like a roadmap, which contains your thesis. And then after that, you go into the various different parts. So part one is the background of the law that you're dealing with, or maybe like the technology that's at issue, or if you're dealing with legislation, kind of maybe like the legislative history on this legislation, something like that. Part two is where you kind of say, okay, this is the problem, and now we're going to sort of analyze the problem from a lot of different perspectives, or you're going to maybe compare it to another area of law, something like that. Part three is going to look at what the impact and significance is of this problem that you've laid out, and that would also look at the policy notions, whether or not this is an expanding of the law, this is a contracting of the law, business friendly, consumer friendly, that kind of thing, sort of like the broader issues that this particular case affects, and also this area of law. And then part four, the student sort of proposes some kind of solution to this open question. Maybe Congress should do something, the Supreme Court should do something, you might draft legislation if you're feeling really ambitious, something along those lines. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a case. I'm going to put in the site right now, and you guys could put in your own citation if you want. So I'm going to say 682 F 3rd 353. This is the case that I'm going to use. It deals with whether or not it violates the First Amendment to have citizens record police behavior. This case was, it overruled, as you can see here. It reversed and remanded to the lower court. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to Shepardize the case. And I'm going to click right here to Shepardize it. And I want you guys to do this with your site too. What I want you to do is set up an alert so you know what's going on with your case. If something good happens, you're going to want to know. If something's appealed, if it gets appealed, you're going to want to know that. You're going to want to know law reviews that cite to it. You're going to want to know district court opinions that cite to it. So this way you can keep track of what's happening. Skip the monitor piece. I want you to focus on these two tabs. Monitor. Okay, it's going to email you with any change that happens, which is good. And then delivery. This is key, okay? You want to say, put in your email address, and then scroll down. Only notify you when a change occurs. Otherwise, you're going to get emails all the time. And then you click Create Alert. And then when you want to find your alerts, because they do get sent to you online as well, they go up here and you click Alerts. This lets you cancel it, modify it, or see them. Okay, now, so here's the case. This Fields case versus City of Philadelphia. Now what do you do? Okay, a couple things. What I'm going to move into now is what type of research you need to write your paper. Your research comes from basically 4 or 5 places. 1, the case itself. 2, cases cited within your case. 3, law review articles. 4, legislation if your case is dealing with statutes or legislative history. And 5, the news. Okay, so I'm going to show you, and the reason you want all that is because you have to footnote almost every sentence like we've discussed, and you have to be able to find sources that help you flesh out your own ideas and then cite to those. So what I'm trying to do for you here is just kind of give you a roadmap for how you find the sources you need and then how you use the sources you find. So step 1, you look at the case. We've already done that. Step 2, you look at the cases cited within your case. I'm going to click over here. Oh, I did that too fast. Table of Authority. I want you guys to click on Table of Authority. This is going to give you a list of every case that's cited within your case. And it also tells you how the court was using your case. So you kind of have an idea about how the case law that this particular court came up with and coming up with his opinion is being utilized. So what you really want to think about is the various different approaches. Well, this is a Third Circuit decision. It reversed the lower court. Why? What approach did it take? What approach was right? What have other courts done in similarly situated circumstances? So you'd want to go outside of the Third Circuit jurisdiction and see what other courts are doing. So this kind of gives you an idea about different cases that you can use. And this goes into that Part 2 analysis section of your paper, analyzing why the court did what it did, what other courts have done, historically what's been done, that kind of thing. Okay, that's why this is helpful. Now I'm going to give you another piece that you need to do your research. That is other law review articles. The reason you need this is because you can basically take all the footnotes in a great law review article, and you can use those footnotes too. So it really helps you expand your research. You don't need thousands of great law review articles. You need like 5, maybe 4, depending on what you're working on. So I'm going to give you what I think is the quickest way to find on-point law review articles for you. So stay with me here, okay? You click on Table of Authority. You get a list of the cases cited within your case, which we have here. Now, your case is too new, so no law review articles have cited to it. However, there are law review articles cited to these cases that are cited within your case. So you want to see those law review articles, and this is how you do it. My advice to you is to stay away from the Supreme Court ones like this, because there's going to be like 1,000 law review articles. It's going to be too hard to sort through. So go to the circuit in which it was decided. This was decided in the Third Circuit. You see there's 12 law reviews. Click this, and now you'll see this Kelly case. This Kelly case was a major case that was cited in the dissenting opinion. My guess is this particular case is taking the view of the lower court, you see, because it's in the dissenting opinion. You're going to want to examine why they did that. Now, what you're going to want to do is this case has been around for a while, which means that there are going to be law review articles cited to this case. So you Shepardize it. You click over here. You then go over to Other Citing Sources. Other Citing Sources. And then you go to law reviews. See how there's 57? You click over here, 57 law reviews. Okay, I want you to look at number 2. Lights, camera, arrest, the stage is set for federal resolution of a citizen's right to record the police in public. This is a perfect law review article for you. Check out the date, done in 2014, not too old. This is going to give you other places to find cases that have held similarly to this particular case. So in your analysis section of your paper, you can do kind of like a survey. Well, the Third Circuit traditionally has done this. The Ninth Circuit has traditionally done this. This helps you find those cases and gives you the citations for the arguments you're going to make. So when you find a list of law review articles that are oh so good, like I can see so many of these are great, balancing the price. See how so many of these are really good? They're right on point for you. You want to save them. So you click here, you click 4, you go up here to your folder. So your folder is, if you don't already have one set up, I highly recommend you do. Click choose a folder, then you can click create and set up your folder, and then you can move stuff straight in. Okay, that is, so we've set up, so now that's one way to get law review articles. The other way to get law review articles is to search by subject matter. So I'm going to make a search, and I want you guys to think about your own thing. I'm going to say police with the same paragraph as record, exclamation point, that's going to find recording, with the same paragraph as First Amendment. Got it? And then I'm going to click search. Okay, a couple things. Just in terms of law review articles, you go over here on secondary material. You then scroll down to where it says by category, law reviews. And then you resort from newest to oldest. You don't have to do that, but not a terrible idea. This one's actually pretty good. Qualified immunity in the First Amendment, right to record police. You resort this from newest to oldest. And then now, notice you've got 600. If it's more than you can bear, that's a lot of law review articles to sort through. Then you can add weight to certain key terms. So I can say, I want the word record, let's just say, to appear at least 10 times in my law review. Otherwise, don't show it to me. This is a way for you to add weight to certain search terms, and you can narrow down your cite list so that it's more on point. Okay, so that lobbed off literally almost 300. Still a lot, okay, which means what? You can go and you can put at least 10 or at least 7 and pick First Amendment or some other thing. But you'll see that if you do it the first way that I showed you, by taking cases that are cited within your case and Shepardizing those, it's a quicker way to get into on-point articles. Okay, I also want to show you about the news. So just remember, the key thing to finding law review articles out that aren't cited to cases is by making a subject matter search. You guys know I'm really into this within the same paragraph. And you can also use that same search to go to the news. Click on news. And you can also, let's look at this, so good. Courts give new guidance on police recording. You can save that in your folder. You could add that, see, to part 3 of your article, which gives you the impact, significance, policy behind, you know, this holding, but not just this holding, but on like police recording generally. You could start your intro talking about how this has become so much more ubiquitous for this reason and that reason, and technology has really moved quickly, and what is the First Amendment's response to this movement in technology? That would maybe be your theme, and then you do kind of like a survey. So what you do is you can resort, and you know how to do that. Okay, one more thing. From here, you can also set up another alert, and I recommend you doing that. You can leave, you want to focus on monitor and deliver. You want to see cases that cite to the subject matter of this. If there's any statutes and legislation, and you already click the news, if you care about secondary material, which would be law reviews, and then you create alert, okay? Oh wait, but don't forget delivery, sorry. Scroll down, stick in your email. If you don't want them emailing you every day, you know, you can just have it weekly, whatever you feel like. Okay, now, if you are dealing with a case that has to do with legislation, then you would go over here to statutes and legislation, and you would look at any kind of pending bills that are dealing with this issue, or whether or not there's any sort of statutes, pending bills, that kind of thing. So you go here first, you scroll down. If you're focusing just on the federal, you could say federal. Maybe you're looking at a particular state, then you can just do it by your jurisdiction. And then from there, you would then look at the bills and stuff that's on here. This is the kind of legislative history I'm talking about, congressional hearings, congressional record. That's all the things that you're going to kind of look at when you're dealing with this type of issue. So again, that helps you. This would help you, the statutes and legislation, with your analysis piece. But the law review and the news, that helps you with your impact, significance, and policy. And then after that, you conclude. And that's pretty much it. So if you guys have further questions, you can let me know. And when I send this out, I'll also send you the handout.